everyone. I know there's a super delay. History needs you. Thank you for being here. Matthew Ward, my other co-host on the Classic Movie Salon on Sundays. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. My name is Chitachi Egwu. Let me be in an official capacity. Hello. Hey, PG Tech. Thank you for being here. My name is Dr. Chitachi Egwu. Today I'm here in an official capacity, and I am the host of Mediascope. You guys know that, as well as a couple of other shows. And I am so honored to have these two wonderful guests today. Oh, the sound and vision is good. Thank you so much. History needs you. So, or Matthew Ward, I keep saying that. Today I came on because a couple of things. So I'm going to be speaking at Creator Con in New Jersey, right across the bridge from New York City in April 29th or 30th. I'm not sure which day my session is. And so as part of that, I decided, I think I want to talk about or do a stream about what I'm going to be talking about on the panel there. And I'm on a women and live streaming panel there. So I said, you know what? I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about women and live streaming, but more specifically, especially women of color and Black women in live streaming and social media, because wondering if our voices are being heard. And there's a special reason that came up. But before we start to get into it, I would like to have my illustrious hosts introduce themselves. So Yolanda, we'll start with you.
Okay. Hey, everybody, I'm Yolanda. Most of you know me as @DryerBuzz, or you'll get to know me as @DryerBuzz, 15-year editor of DryerBuzz.com. I've been in the blogosphere probably about maybe 20 years and about 30 years in the internet, helping to close the digital divide. And so right now I'm trying to move into the space of super blogger retired, but it's not happening. At the same time, I host a monthly breakfast here in Atlanta. I'm also in Atlanta with entrepreneurs, and I also do a blogging workshop from an author series that I started called 27 Answers. Those of you that follow me on Periscope, you know that I host a number of great debates. And just so that you understand, Dryer Buzz was born in the hair salons. We facilitate conversations you have in the hair salons and in the barber shops.
Oh, and a lot goes on in the beauty salons and in the barber shop. That before all of this happened, that's how we got that. That was the first live streaming, right?
Exactly.
That was the first social media. So now let's move on to Gail, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the audience.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Gail Turner Brown. I am the talk show host of the GTB show as well as the Diva Talk show. I host several shows within that. I'm doing a series right now called The Entrepreneur's Journey, where I bring on high-profile business executives and successful entrepreneurs for them to share their journey to help others understand what it takes to go from startup to growth and building an empire. And predominantly my talk shows I stream them through Facebook Live, but I utilize platforms such as Smile Time and Be Live because I like having the conversation. I'm not necessarily a one-to-many. I like having many voices going out to many ears. So that's where I predominantly do my streams. So that's it. That's who I am, and I do help other people understand what it takes to be a really great host as well as to be a really great guest and help them get onto other people's shows. So that's who I am. That's what I do, and just have a blast.
Yes, we do. And we were going to have one more guest, but unfortunately she could not be here with us today. And I wanted her on because she's a millennial. So we have, a cross section of generations here, and it would have been nice, but that's okay. I don't think this is the only time we're ever going to talk. So so let's get into it, shall we? First of all, I asked you all both on because I'm so impressed with what you do in terms of social media and live streaming. And I think that, let me bring it backwards, I should say, to why I wanted to do this stream. Besides, talk a little bit about CreatorCon. You notice in the space that there are, we're out of sync, guys. We're a little bit out of sync. So I apologize that if we're out of sync. Bear with us.
On the stream?
Technology. Yeah, on the stream. Matthew let us know that we're a little bit out of sync. So hopefully it will sync back up. If not, please bear with us because this happens. So you know what I noticed, there are a couple of things that are coming up. I go to a lot of technology conferences. I also go to a lot of media conferences. And I notice that, especially with the tech conferences, there are far and few between in terms of women. And when it comes to Black people, it's usually me and one other person. So it makes it seem as if we're not in the space. And then, recently, next week, Summit Live is coming up. And I was going to go, but I decided I was not going to go. So I said, well, let me just take a look at the speakers. And this is where there's usually a dearth or a gap in terms of diverse voices when it comes to the speakers that are on the stage giving the information. And so when I looked at the list, I said, wow. Now, there's probably a diversity of experience. There's probably a diversity in terms of background. But when it comes to ethnicity, it did not look like there was much diversity. And let me speak specifically in terms of Black people. I saw 2 men and 1 woman that were going to be speakers at Summit Live. And that said something to me because it says, is our experience in this space, remember, we're all just new in this space. We're thinking about it. This space in terms of, now live streaming has been around for a while, but in terms of being a coveted consumer tool like it is now, yeah, exactly, Matthew, it was the Big Bang Theory all over again. all men. So in terms of it being a mass medium, it's only as of 2015. So we're all kind of starting fresh. Are we saying then that some people's voices are more valuable than others in a medium that just started about less than 2 years ago? So I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. We can start with Yolanda.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I've been in this space 20 years. So yes, it's popular now. Being in this space 20 years, I often have to say this, is that pioneers are often persecuted until their passions become popular, okay? So you got to imagine 20 years ago, probably even before that, me being out here in this space trying to live stream. And I remember doing a chat to a college class. And when they asked me this question in the class via the chat, and they said, well, how does it feel to be a Black woman in technology? Not until they asked me that question did I actually become a Black woman in technology, because it wasn't about gender, it wasn't about sex, and it certainly wasn't about race. Okay, you were a creative and in the space. So when we say that we're not on the stages now, or we're not participating now, it's because we're tired and we're exhausted, because we were here in the beginning. And in the beginning, this was odd, this was crazy. When I would say, I just finished interacting with people around the world, and people would say, were you in the same room? No, we weren't in the same room. We were using technology, and I was kind of almost admonished for it. So to say that, diversity is not there now, diversity initiated this, created this space that everybody now wants to participate in. So what we have to do is not say that we have to bring people in this space. We got to bring people back to this space. You got to go back and get those people who helped start all of this and say, hey, listen, can you come back? Now it's working. Now that everybody has now that we have the device. And if I say, okay, well, I spent 30 years trying to close the digital divide. Well, in 2015, we did that. Okay, there were only a few of us left that decided to be consistent and see that to the end. So, it's not that diversity is not here. Diversity initiated this. Okay, so we just have to bring people back into the space. And I think that says it differently. That brings back the ownership that we should have to some of this.
Okay, interesting point of view. Gail, your thoughts?
From the way I see it, because one, this is a really good question because it kept going through my mind too. Whenever there's a conference, I always look at the speakers and they're always are the same. Okay. And I'm like, first I oftentimes say, well, where are the women? And then I say, where are the Black women? Now, I do also believe that a lot of it has to do with who is putting it together. So if you are a white male putting it together, and obviously you hang around your tribe, and so you oftentimes are going to be hanging around folks that are like you, which are also going to be other white males, and then you may have a few females, but they're more than likely are also going to be white. And so I would just say then that, and this off, actually, I feel this way about a lot of different industries. That's where it comes to, well, if we want to be heard, we're going to have to be the ones to step up and create the space, because otherwise we're not going to be heard. We are going to be shut out because you're not going to really think about, as you say, inviting you in, unless you formulate a very close relationship. And I think this space is, again, like every other space, it does probably have its cliques, where the same people are interacting and collaborating. And if you're not in that circle, you're not going to get invited in. And so I think that also has a lot to do with it. I have asked this question many times as I was looking at this, because I said, okay, it doesn't take any special skill. It's for the most part, it's free. So there's no cost prohibitiveness to it. Is that a word? You know what I mean?
No, I think
it's not cost prohibitive.
So if you're not, we're both wrong. I think you're right.
So I was very curious. I was like, okay, where are the Black women, especially when it comes to using this space as a business, creating, monetizing it. I just could not understand where they all were. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
And I think that's really the important thing about this space. I'm sorry, Yolanda. I think this is really the important thing about this space, because when it comes down to it, when it's time to monetize it, if we're not there, we're not going to be able to participate in that landscape. And that's, I think, part of the bigger problem. Besides the representation, you can only monetize if you're there. And I think, like I said, that's part of the bigger thing. So let me ask you, Yolanda, before you answer, let me follow up on that, Gail. So are you suggesting that we need to create our own spaces as opposed to trying to integrate into the larger conversation? Is this what you're saying?
Yes. I mean, I think it has to go both ways. But okay. I believe, just like in every other space, that's why we have the NAACP Image Awards. That's why we have the BET Awards, because it's like, you know what? Instead of looking to be invited to the party, create our own party. And like everything, when you do that, the higher voices will get heard. The people, you go into that space, and then all of a sudden it gets recognized by the other groups. And then it's like, oh, okay, I didn't know you were there, come on in. But I think until we do that, I mean, we're not going to be heard. And I don't believe, honestly, I don't believe we have to integrate. You know what I mean? I mean, I just think that we have the capability of doing it ourselves, as opposed to waiting for someone to, again, invite us to the party.
Right.
Okay, go ahead, Yolanda. I really want your thoughts on this.
Well, when it comes to monetizing, one of the things that I did, I have my events and things like that around, the visibility of being out there. I do get the question all the time, when people come back from conferences, they're like, why weren't you at the conferences, and why aren't you submitting, to be a speaker? You've been in this, a long time, forever. It's like, am I going to be able to be myself in this space? Am I going to be comfortable in this space? I know we hear women talk a lot about, is it a safe space? And I'm comfortable on a lot of fronts. But at the same time, it's where it's going. I'm looking at, where it's going. We always want to be authentic. And one of the things when I started out, I always wanted it to be conducive to my uniqueness. And a lot of times we can't be unique in those other spaces, And it's almost like, and I don't know if there is any uniqueness. It's almost like a carbon copy, and we're unique. And we have to celebrate that. And a lot of times that means we can't just be in general spaces. if that makes any sense.
I disagree.
Go ahead. Okay.
I'm just going
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to, and this is what I mean when I say I disagree. I agree with what you say, but I believe that it's in our minds that we can't be authentic in that space. It is up to us, because it is authenticity is how you really is what creates your success, because you are your unique you. And if you believe, oh, I can't be me in those other spaces because, and what you do is you say, because of what they think, what they're going to say, what they're predisposed, at that point, that's their problem. It's not your problem.
But I mean, it comes down to that. When you talk about monetizing, like say for instance, okay, brand blog, like I've been blogging for 20 years. I've been creating buzz for 30 years. But if I was to go to a major brand, and they say, okay, well, you cross that, you have an intersection of politics and these other things. Okay, can you not say this, or can you not say that, or can you do this? Okay, you do get some limits placed upon you. Now, I've done pretty much every form of media out there, mediums out there, and it does take away. And I think that's why we end up creating our own platforms and in spaces for us to exist in. Because it does, they do actually like kind of be quiet on some things, So, and we just have a different life.
No, we absolutely do. And I think I don't think that's just something that's unique to Black women or Black people. I think that's across the board, that there are, because when we talk about the concept of co-cultures exist across, there are subcultures within the larger culture. So that exists across ethnicity, across background. But you're absolutely right. There is something unique about what we're doing. And to that uniqueness, I kind of want to ask about content. Two things about content. What are you all seeing in terms of live streaming and social media in general, in terms of content, when it comes to what we stream about, or when it comes to what we tweet about? What are you seeing? And do you think that is something that the larger populace can latch onto?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we have to offer a cross section. During the presidential debates, I stepped away from talking about literally like how to blog and how to create buzz to just literally moderating a debate about Trump. And throughout the debates, I did a Periscope each day and said, okay, Trump did this yesterday. Then we said, okay, well, that went great, so let's keep it going up until Election Day. And then I said, okay, for the next, it just got like insane political. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna do Trump the first 100 days. But everybody's like, but we need you back in the space because you moderate. What I do is I moderate great debates. So I might then have to jump back out there. And people are looking at it, the conversations I'm having about Trump and politics, I have a different spin or a different perspective. I can help people see something differently, even though we all sat and watched the same thing. Well, what if you think about it this way? And so I see that is a leadership move that I can take. And so I have to come out of my comfort zone. I'm bipartisan. I have to be bipartisan and just really get back into moderating. I had no idea. If you'd have told me I was going to spend the end of the year and the beginning of the new year moderating a Trump debate, I never would have known I was doing that. But I'm the best at it because I can, no matter what I go into, I know how to allow people to speak for themselves and let people be heard. And that's the nature of content right now, is everybody wants to be seen and everybody wants to be heard. And if you can do that equally, then you can find your lane.
Fantastic. Gail, what do you think?
One, I like what Yolanda said, and I definitely see that being true. And I do believe that our voices need to be heard in that space, because we do have a different perspective. Every time I listen to someone talk about the flyover states, and they was having such a hard time, and I'm like, y'all have no clue. Y'all have no freaking clue. And so, yeah, we do need the perspective of someone different. But in addition to that, in terms of content in general. Now, the space I hang out in is business, is business to business, right? Mm-hmm. But when I listen to Black women having conversations about, how to start a business or how to use live streaming for your business and how to monetize it, it is it's a little different. Oftentimes I hear us talk a lot or train a lot or educate a lot on how to do it with no money, because there's always a conversation about I don't have, or I'm, so I hear a lot more of that. And I see a lot more of that kind of content. The other part is, since I guess I'm the quote unquote adult in the room in this case, is I do see, and that is part of what I want to do, helping people that are very mature get into this space, because oftentimes they think they can't, because it's like, oh my God, when you say technology, that freaks people out sometimes, right. And they don't understand not only how easy it is, but how you can monetize it. This can be a platform for generating revenue, but you have to not be afraid of it. And so getting in terms of content, bringing it to older, more mature people, and helping them to understand that it can be done. So that is the kind of content that I am seeing, in terms of what we're bringing to the stage or bringing to the audience.
Right. I think Kent was a factor too with women in this space, because we didn't want to get on camera.
Oh yes,
that's very interesting, because one of the next things that I wanted to ask was things that were prohibitive, you thought, to Black women about getting into the space. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge everybody that is watching. Okay. First of all, let me introduce this, because there are some people who have just joined in and they're like, what the hell is this? Well, I'm about to tell you what this is. We are talking, this is a Mediascope Extra. My name is Dr. Chitachi Egwu. I am a media maker, a filmmaker, a journalist, and a media professor. And I do Mediascope on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. So this is just kind of an extension of this. And we're talking Black women and the social media / live streaming space. Are our voices being heard? And with us, we have Yolanda Lattimore from Dryer Buzz and 27 Answers and everything else she does. And then we have Gail Turner Brown from the, what is the name of your show exactly? It is
I'm rebranding. So it's the GTB show. It's the GTB show, Gail Turner Brown.
Gail Turner Brown. There, I love that, the GTB show. So there again, and if you're out here in the audience, I will try to catch this. Please let me know if you have any questions for our illustrious guests. We would love to answer them. And so going back now full circle, why, and somebody asked this in the stream, why do we not want to get on camera? What are some of the things that you think are prohibitive or that prevent us, Black women and women of color in general, from getting on camera? Why won't we do it? Or why are we not using this tool?
Right. Well, the first thing, as women, the image on the screen is not the image that's in our head.
Right.
That's not who we think we are or see ourselves as.
We're fly. We think we're fly.
Well, when that person looking back is not who I thought I was walking around as, and that's literally the shock factor of it. I've been kind of studying some networking habits and behaviors over the last couple of years. I mean, literally posting and blogging about them. Women feel like they fully have to be ready, fully educated on the platform. They got to fully have a following, everything has to be fully. Whereas men, they say yes, they try it out, they're good with trial and error, they're good, hey, listen, that happened, we move on. Women, they hold on to that, and that's the biggest thing that's prohibiting us, is thinking that we have to be fully ready before we start.
That we have to be in fact, men will roll out of bed. Oh, yes! Or even throw water on their behind and turn on and we're like, hey, I'm in front of my pool. They don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. And it works, and that's the thing. I mean, sometimes it's almost frustrating because I'm telling you, when a lot of times when I'll prepare for a show, sometimes I'll spend more time trying to get the face together and to make sure I got on the right clothes and all of this stuff.
Right.
More
Well, you
than I
should just
do.
go live. Hit the button.
Yeah. But the thing is, and Yolanda is she's so right. And it's not a double-edged sword, but there are a lot of reasons. And we've got a huge image issue. It's two things from my point of view. It's two things. One is the image. When you look at people on TV, you're like, oh my God, I don't look like Halle Berry, right? And so therefore, I'm not good enough. The other thing is, I think the camera also makes people feel like it allows other people to see your vulnerabilities, your flaws, all of that. And here's the other thing too, especially when it's live. See, it's one thing if you're doing a YouTube, you can stop it, cut it, edit it, whatever. But when it's live, as Yolanda said, it's authentic, it's raw, it's you. Whatever, if you screw up.
To your point, Halle Berry tried to live stream a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months ago.
How did that go?
And oh my gosh, she was having such a very difficult time because it wasn't, she wasn't her best, her hair wasn't done. She was like, y'all, they're telling me I need to go live with y'all. She said, this is me and the real me. And it wasn't script. She didn't have a script. She didn't have her messaging right. And she was fumbling. And I was like, go ahead, Halle Berry.
And I think, but that's the thing that was good. I will never forget watching. There's a lady that I met on Facebook, and it was really funny because I saw her one day. She got on camera. She had no makeup on. I think we're relatively around the same age, so there was like the dark circles around her eyes and all of that. And so she was like, I just wanted y'all to see this, like, this is me, right? And when I saw her, I said, oh, you know what? Hell yeah, I can do this. I don't have to feel weird or uncomfortable about, about how I look. Because the thing is, really, if we can kind of get past ourselves and to think about who we are attempting to serve, what message are we trying to give? If we can focus on what we are giving as opposed to how we are looking, then we can get past it. But we have a really challenging time because when you're looking into that camera, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, everybody can see the real me.
Absolutely.
And that's scary.
The thing about this, everybody already sees you. What's on camera is what people see every day, is what's familiar to everybody. Again, it goes back to, it's just not familiar with us because we spend so much time hiding from who we really are. Right. And I'm sorry, absolutely. And the good thing about live streaming, especially this new generation of mobile live streaming, is you have to literally sit there and look at yourself and entertain yourself with others just very simply looking in.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And for women, this is really the first time that we've really had to be truly honest with ourselves and accept ourselves.
Right. And honestly,
this version.
And honestly, that's one. I'm sorry. This is
no. That's okay. No. You all. I'm trying not to interrupt you because you all are on a roll.
I know we're on a roll. I'm sorry.
And then I took the bus, and I see you on a roll. So I'm trying not to interrupt. But I just want to. Curtis asked. Made the comment. Maybe it's the pressure that we put on ourselves. Is it the pressure we put on ourselves as opposed to societal pressure, or is it a little bit of both? Because number one. I probably will be wrong, but very soon you're not probably anytime soon going to see black women doing a swimming scope on.
Well, as a matter of fact.
Okay, see, I might be wrong, but how we are with our hair.
I have done one, and I will do another. I've done because I do plan to swim. Hopefully next week sometime. I've been trying to get it in, and I've been trying to figure out, it's like, where can I position my camera because I know there are going to be other people there, and they're going. And one of the things is, let me say this: in Atlanta, no matter where I am, people always expect me to be live. They know that if they see me, I'm live. I try to go to places around the city where nobody knows me. I came here. In fact, you probably hear music. I'm at a co-working space, and they're having an open house tonight, right?
How cool.
I'm at the gathering spot, so let me shout them out. But I came in, there's a guy who's running for political office. And he walked by me 3 times. You going live? You going live? You live now? You going live? Can we go live? And I'm like, I'm not live, but I am going live tonight. So there's the expectation. But I am planning to do a swimming scope. I just have to figure out where I can place the camera so everybody doesn't have a hard time with the fact that
Yolanda,
I got the pool on live.
That is wonderful. I applaud you with the black girl swim mentality, but you also have a beautiful, short, natural haircut.
I do have
it's wonderful.
Hair.
It's
but
wonderful.
Why I'm going to do that, there was an episode of Scandal. One episode, I think, where we saw Kerry Washington taking her frustration outdoor to swim. And I was like, oh my God, I miss swimming. I got to get back in the water. I did have a drowning experience, so I'm real slow to get back into it. But not because I'm a great swimmer, but I was in a pool with a man who panicked because he had on every life jacket known to man. And
I'm sorry.
He got a little excited and was too close to me, and he grabbed me to save himself, and I literally had to fight
and brought you down
off of me.
Brought you down.
So I was exhausted, but that's neither here nor there. So, but because I am live, when I'm out and about in the city, people will come up to me and they'll whisper, "I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't want to be on camera." But you're in public, and I'm getting Atlanta used to, and I use the hashtag, "We live in public." So going live on a platform is no different than you coming outside of your house. The minute you step outside of your house, and even for many of us nowadays, inside a house, but the minute you step outside your house, you're on thousands of cameras. Your entire day can be choreographed every step that you take. So why not take advantage of this platform? So wait for my swim scope.
I love that. I love that analogy, Yolanda, that as soon as you step outside your house, you are public. And there are a lot of people who see you. But so I think if you help people get inside of people's heads to help them understand that, because again, and I know I've mentioned this to you before, Tachi, which is one of my goals is to help people understand how to monetize, how to use this platform to monetize, right? And so you don't have to necessarily be crying about, oh my God, it won't give me $15 an hour. Okay, so it's like, I mean, it is what it is, and because I don't know the exact percentage, but let's say over 50% of Black women are head of households. Right. And they don't know. And sometimes some of them, they work in 2 and 3, 4, 5 jobs. So it's like, if you can learn these platforms and how to monetize them, then you may not have to do that. But you have to get comfortable. And you say in front of a camera, you got to get comfortable doing it first. So if we could get people to get out of their heads, then you could help them even more. So I really like that analogy, because there are people who are scared to death of coming in front of this camera.
Absolutely. And I think just like with anything else, it requires training. Now here's the thing. I am a proponent of 2 schools of thought in terms of live streaming. Just do it, because if you keep waiting until it's perfect, it will never be perfect. So you just need to go ahead and do it. But number 2, respect your audience enough to do things properly. So once you've just done it, Go and learn how to do lighting properly. Go and make sure you have a proper respect your audience enough to give them good content. So I'm like, if you don't know what you want to do initially, sit down and take a little bit of time to plan it, but then just do it, because you can be planning till the next millennium and you will never have live streamed. And I think there's such promise in this area, which brings me to the next thing. And I'm glad I could see. I'm glad, Gail, that you brought up the whole thing of using this as a stream of income, because if this is something you know how to do, you can use this as a stream of income. Curtis says YouTube is an awesome teacher. Absolutely. Sweet Leash, whereas going outside your house is not the same in terms, I guess, of being seen live. You guys you have such great things, but I keep missing them and I keep wanting to remember. So I'm like writing down. So if there's something you want me to say, please put it up a couple of times so that I can say it, because I want to acknowledge you. That's another thing about being in this space, acknowledging who your audience is. You're not live streaming solely for you. You're doing it for your audience. So acknowledge them.
Exactly.
So to that end, and going back to the whole thing of live streaming as a, not necessarily just a source of income, but one of your streams of income, I'm thinking about the next generation. So, which is why I wish Kayla was here, but we'll get her on another one. So thinking about the next generation, because part of the problem, especially when it comes to Black people, is this whole thing of you may not have come from wealth, and there is not this concept of understanding how to build wealth. And by not being included in the conversation, that is not allowing us to carry on wealth to the next generation. So when I say conversation, I'm talking about the conversation of streaming and live streaming and social media. We're there. This is not saying we're not there. All you have to do is open up Periscope or Facebook Live on any given day and see how many faces of color are live streaming. The problem is the recognition of the efforts of such. And if you're not being recognized, then what happens is you get passed over for this other quote unquote influencer, which I hate that word, but you get passed over for this other person that's very proficient with live streaming. They become the expert and your chopped liver. And that doesn't allow you to carry on wealth to the next generation. What do you all want for millennials and Gen Z women, Black women in particular, or women of color, to understand about the live streaming space and why they should partake in it?
Well, one of the things, I just started a blog mission. Each year, as part of my editorial schedule, I look at where in which I want to address wealth concerns. And Pew Research came out, with saying, I think the latest article is that they are a mortgage-less generation. I just started blogging, riding and driving in the rideshare industry, right? Uber, Lyft, and several others that are coming on, really watching them. And so through this, I get to observe the behaviors of everybody, including the millennials. And I'm looking at where in which they can build wealth. And one of the ways that they can very quickly and very instantly build wealth is because we don't have enough wealth conversation. And when I use the word wealth, I'm talking about not how much money you have, or how much money you make, how long you hold on to your money, how long you have any amount of money. That's the pattern to wealth. So one of the things that we put out there is that this has to be the generation who buys less automobiles. What we did was every year there are these reports that come out that talk about buying power, consumer power, which I don't believe any of that. There's no such thing as power in that unless you begin to get a nice even balance sheet. So one of the things we looked at is like, okay, we got a report that tells us while we're now making the same amounts of money, regardless of race and gender and all these kind of things, at the end of the month, for some reason, our counterparts have created a level entry and level in the road into wealth. Others of us have not, minorities, women, etc. And I kept looking at these reports, and I've studied them year after year after year. They usually come out pretty much every 5 years. And I said, okay, well, where is the robbery happening? If you and I are making the same amount of money, and you amass wealth from yours, and I can't amass any wealth from mine, what happened? What I found in the campaign that we just launched is something called #boycott interest, meaning stop buying things that have interest attached to them. And the largest wealth robbery that's happening that we will pass on to millennials is encouraging them to purchase automobiles that they really truly don't need. Now, what I do notice is that many of the millennials, especially starting college age millennials, they use the ride share. They use Uber, they use Lyft. They're not buying homes. They're I think the new report came out said that because they're not tied to a mortgage in one city, they can now go around the country taking advantage of all these different opportunities. So the same thing with technology is that we now can use this technology to educate them. This is a way in which the way they consume media is the way in which we can speak to them, whereas we in the same room with them, we can't talk to them. The influence is that we use this technology. What I've been trying to do, when we think about the fact that we closed the digital divide in 2015, 99% of millennials own a smartphone. And they are on it all day and every day. So what I've been trying to do is encourage larger organizations, other entities to use this platform to speak to them. Because in all of the other means that we have used in trying to bridge a gap from generation to generation to generation did not work. What is the one medium that's working, that's allowing us to talk cross-generationally? It's social media and technology.
Fantastic.
So that's the way in which we have to reach our millennials.
Fantastic. Gail? I'm sorry.
I can tweet, tag, and post, and all my kids will see it and acknowledge it. I can call them or text them, and I get nothing. But when they saw mom's post, oh, Mom, you're eating at Maggiano's. You're going to bring some home? But if I text them, I don't get an answer.
So maybe you should text them. If you don't want to buy them anything, just text them and they won't.
Right.
That's how you do it. Thank you. Good tip. Gail, go ahead.
So one thing that Yolanda said, I totally wholeheartedly agree with, which is we're not having money conversations. And I believe that is where it begins, because unfortunately we have allowed millennials coming up through the generations, we've allowed them to believe that Black folks don't have money. And the only way they do is that they got to be bouncing a ball or have a mic in their hand. Okay, those are the two main ways. They're not seeing oftentimes, and I'm very generalizing, obviously, but they're not seeing enough Black people, in business, in executive, positions and things like that. And kind of taking this back to how all of this started. And when they go to a conference, they're not seeing the speakers that look like them, who are talking about, I am an influencer, as Tachi says. And so I think that is where it begins. The other thing is, we've all probably heard about Black Twitter, right? It's a thing. There are more Black people on Twitter than on some of the other mediums. I mean, everything has a demographic. There are more, the Latinos and Black people are on Twitter more, especially in the millennial space, right? And so, and Instagram and Snapchat.
Right.
So if we are there telling them, hey, you don't have, and a lot of them have tens of thousands of followers, right? The only thing that's missing, they don't know that they could turn that into a stream, into many streams. They just don't know. And so my conversation would be just that. Do you know how many ways that you can continue to do what you enjoy, but turn this into content, turn this into education, turn this into, there's so many ways that this can be monetized, and in allowing them to understand that there are people in this space that are doing it. We just need to be able to help them connect to those people so that they can see that it can be done. Because right now it's just a way of communicating to them. It's not a way of generating revenue.
Right.
Great points. Great points.
And just
so I
one
think,
more point before we
yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
We have to remind them, just like I said at the beginning of this, is that we were initially in this space. The behaviors and things like that that's going on in technology right now is something that we brought to the table, because it's not really how the internet started. It's just that because we are often, wherever space we go in, because we're often looking for each other. You know, somebody
That's true.
said something about, I know what it was. And we talk about Black Twitter. There was a meme that went around and said, MySpace had us coding and we didn't know it. And I said, no. I said, Black Planet had you coding and you didn't know it.
Right.
They stole you from Black Planet, you know.
Right.
So we have to remind them a little bit of the early on stuff as well. And these both were way before Mark Zuckerberg's.
Absolutely. I forgot all about Black Planet. That was my stand. Yeah. I was on Black Planet.
But remember, you couldn't have a Black Planet the same thing unless you could code it, though.
Remember? Yeah, I mean, and it was interesting because both of my sons were on Black Planet. Mm-hmm. And one of them, he was like, God, 14, 15, and he was creating pages for people, you know? And like you said, and so he was coding. And I remember asking him once, I said, do you know how to do HTML? And I think he told me yes. And I said, how do you know how to do that? And he said, because of Black Planet.
You had to figure it out.
You're totally correct, Yolanda.
Exactly.
We were doing
exactly. Zakia Ringgold says, not seeing the forest through the trees.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's very true. So as we wrap this up, I want to ask you all, the conversation is, are our voices being heard in this space? If not, why? And so I look to the first place that you gain your credibility and that you gain that sense of acceptance is from yourselves, amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm. Right. Are we supportive enough of ourselves as Black women or women of color in this space? Are we supportive enough?
You get an amen in the co-space that I'm in over here. Let me say this.
No.
Hello, Sean.
No.
Okay.
No. That's the answer.
She's an avid streamer as well. Black woman streamer. In fact, she streamed just last night. Shish After Dark, M Squad. They have shows on Wealthy Divas. They stream on Thursday nights. Kenji Yoshino, I have to talk about this book all the time. Kenji Yoshino has a book out there called Covering, The Hidden Assault on Civil Rights. And in that book, he talks about what we as women do to hurt our own civil rights. What homosexuals, Hispanics, all the minorities. He breaks down the fact that how we participate in the hidden assault on civil rights is we, in and of ourselves, downplay our least favorite aspect of ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So as when we downplay being a woman, we want to come into the space, but we don't want to bring the fact that we're women and that we have emotions and we have, all these different things about being a woman. Latinos, they coming into the space and not bringing their language or the culture, those kinds of things. So when we talk about the fact that we're absent in the spaces, because when we go into the space and we kind of whitewash ourselves, we lose that authenticity. And it's it's us. It's something that we're doing, and it's a conversation that we have to continue to get women to have and to push women to say, look, just come on, as I said, come as you are.
Right.
And so basically erasing that identity.
Yeah.
Erasing that identity. Okay.
Right.
Ooh. That is like really, really good. And I'm going to tell you, and you probably know this, Taji, that's like a whole nother scope all by itself.
Yes. We haven't time for that today, but yeah.
I know, because I'm like, oh my God, I could have that conversation. So as you said, because we only have a little bit more time, had a little bit of time left. So yes, you are correct. No, we don't. There's a young lady. It was so funny. I was on Twitter scrolling, and I saw a young lady, and the first thing when I first saw her, I was like, oh, she's cute. And then I said, then I looked at the title of her scope. I liked the title, and I came in, and I've been watching her for like 2-3 weeks now. And she talks about how to make money, right? She's a millennial, And but a lot of times on her scopes, every night she talks about how many haters she has. She's somebody always. Now we always know Periscope has trolls. I mean, everybody gets trolled, and that's kind of normal. But she says there's not one scope that I do that when it's over that someone doesn't send me something in my inbox or during the scope telling me they don't believe I've made the money that I've made. They don't believe I've helped as many people as I've helped. They just don't believe her. And so, or they have a lot of really negative things to say. And so I don't think that we help each other enough, because oftentimes when we see people who are successful, you get the haterade going, as opposed to saying, how did you do that? Teach me how to do that. You would much prefer, in order, and this is just the way it is, oftentimes to make yourself feel better, you've got to put somebody else down. And I do unfortunately think that we do that more often than not. And so if you think about how many different obstacles or things that are blocking us from ourselves, from the society as a whole, and then from other Black women, it's like, how do you have to really be a special person to help break through all of that? So, I do think we add yet another layer to the challenge of having our voices heard.
Absolutely. I think sometimes we are our own worst enemies. So in addition to not supporting each other in the space, and that's not indicative of you ladies at all, because if nothing else, you all are the most supportive. I could be coming on to talk about bread, and here comes Yolanda, and here comes Gail in my scope. Seriously, you all are super supportive. So that is not a testament to you all at all. But, there are some of us that are not probably as supportive as we could be. And we need to stop. How can we expect others to support what we do if we're not supportive of our own efforts? Right. Definitely. Right. And then we also have to, I think we have to stop, going back to what we said at the beginning, stop begging for a seat at the table and start sitting down. And so ever I go to these conferences and I'm the only one there and I'm only like 5'2" and I'm pushing in front of everybody, I'm like, what's that there? That's what you have to do. You have to sit down. Don't wait for an invitation. Don't ask for permission, because they didn't. So you just sit down.
Yeah. Basically. And so I think it also sounds to me that a part of our job, and you have no idea, I am like so psyched that you're having this conversation, because me and another friend of mine, we're putting together a workshop teaching exactly what we're talking about. How do you get on the scope? How do you get confidence in front of the camera? How do you become a guest on other people's scope? So we're doing a workshop next month on this subject. So this kind of helped. Yeah, well, and so this kind of helped to validate, okay, I am on the right track. Because a lot of times, just because you think it's a good idea or something that is needed, you don't always necessarily know if it is. But after having this conversation, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is really good. So I think it would behoove us and people in this space to constantly just to reiterate that, because we do this with everything, not just in this. I mean, when I was a real estate investor, I would go to conferences, it would just be me. Internet marketing, just be me. Network marketing, it would just be, and everybody usually was all the same. And they were all men, and they were all, I mean, and whenever, especially I remember being in network marketing, it would be like, you'd have the people going across the stage who had made all this money, and usually the wife was the supporter. She was the one that was taking care of the kids, and the guy was the one that was out doing the presenting, doing all this stuff, right? So it's just so seldom, and you couldn't wait to see something that had some chocolate in it. It's like, oh my God, there's a chocolate person that's up on the stage. And so we have to help people obtain the confidence that's necessary to, as you just said, Tachi, to say, I'm going to go sit down. I'm not going to ask for a permission. I don't have to look around to see, is there anybody that looks like me before I can feel comfortable? Right. It's like, I am here. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, and I have just as much right to be here as you do. So I'm going to go sit down.
So there was a question from the audience. Zakia asked, so how do we get people to start to leverage these platforms now?
Woo, that's how long we got.
We have a few minutes, so you'll have to succinctly give your answer.
Right.
Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, it starts with the numbers. You know your numbers. Cultivate your numbers. I think that's it. I think everybody's here that's going to come.
Okay.
We just have to recognize that we're here. We really have to recognize that we're here and just encourage people to step out there. Because there are a lot of people out there who they've got the numbers, they've got the audience, they've got the conversations. I mean, and Sean and I, had our meeting today, just really trying to encourage and push each other. I started out, my first meeting this morning was somebody asking me, please come back into the arena, please get back on stage. I think that we just have to know that, okay, I think the difference with us is we want to do it together. I think that's really the thing that's holding us back is we want to get there. We're tired of being there and being that only one. We now want to do it together. That's the question. How do we do this together?
So, right. So if I want to make sure I understand the question, she said, how do we to leverage it?
You mean to leverage the space now? So
okay.
She didn't necessarily say monetization.
Right,
that's one part of leveraging it. Another part of is just using it for influence, using it for information, using it to educate. So that's the other part of leveraging.
Exactly. Right. So that's what I would say to do. Meaning, if you wanted to leverage this right now, and let's say you are just starting and you don't have nobody and you don't know nobody, then the best thing to do is to get on. Don't follow foolishness. You don't have to follow folks that are talking about nonsense. Okay. Because there are plenty of people on Periscope. Look to find people who are doing what you want to do, or the topic is what you have an interest in, and get into their scopes and have conversations within their scopes. When you do that, and not just scopes, but Twitter and Instagram and all of that. So you begin to follow people that you like, respect, and want to model. And then what happens is then you get into their audience by participating and contributing. When you do that, people then begin to follow you because you have contributed. You are adding value. The other thing is, and you literally can do that and not even get onto camera. You could be in people's scopes, having conversations, building relationships, and then get on camera, understand what message do you want to convey, and then begin to get on camera, inviting those people that you've just met, you build a relationship with them. And that's how you start to leverage the platforms and be consistent with it. You have to do it every day in some way, shape, or form. Whether you're on camera, whether you're, on your phone, just on Twitter and those other social media platforms. But if you want to be seen, you need to be seen,
Absolutely.
And so your presence has to be known. But that's how you start to leverage. Look at how can you serve? What value can you provide? What problem can you help someone solve? And it begins to grow from there.
So Natalie says consistency is the key. Dr. Vibe says basically, he's here in not so many words that hold on, I'm trying to get everybody, it disappears on Periscope. So Dr. Vibe said in not so many words, basically forming good communities, good solid communities around you. Yes. History Needs You says he only scopes a couple of times a week, but participates in several per day, as you were saying. So it's not always about having your face seen on camera. Exactly. It's about participating. That's how you build your tribe. That's how you build your community. Yeah. I did not scope or stream right away. I watched for about a month and a half and participated in other people's streams until I decided exactly what I wanted to do. And by the time I was ready, I already had people who knew who I was. People support people that they know and like, and who stream about sensible things. Did you hear what I said? Sensible things.
Yes.
Well, we know
there's some rubbish
everything though.
That's true. That's true. I mean, if we look at this whole controversy with PewDiePie on YouTube, there's evidence that people support rubbish. But I digress from that point. And I just have to say that, ladies, I've always been impressed with you, but we haven't spoken in this capacity really ever. I'm even more your groupies now. I'm even more of a Yolanda and a Gail groupie now, because you just dropped some serious knowledge, and I know that everybody's appreciated. Before we sign off and I have you give your social media handles, I have to acknowledge the wizard behind the curtain, because I'm not running this today. Because here's the thing, I could do this if I want. I don't feel like it. So we have Curtis Brooks, who is he's also in the stream down here on Periscope on my phone. He's in the stream, so he's running this and watching it, and it's so helpful. And that's another thing. This is another thing of why live streaming is important, because this is how you to meet people. That's how you grow your network, grow your community of people who know how to do X, Y, and Z. Yes. A lot of the people that I'm really doing things with now, I never knew before I started live streaming.
That's right.
I know in real life, can't get it together and tell the truth now.
I know.
These families in real life can't do it, but the people that I've met through live stream, I'm just kidding. Some of them are better. But anyway. I'm not. So, but the people that I know now from live streaming and social media have really, truly become friends, and I really respect everybody's work. Thank you so much to History Needs You for being here. Dr. Vibe, Natalie Crew, of course, Curtis Brooks. There were a bunch of people here. Who am I missing? There were a bunch of people here. Wealthy Divas, thank you for being here and inviting followers.
There's Wealthy Divas right here.
Is that you? Hey! Because I'm like, okay, she's up on the screen. I don't know why she wasn't in the conversation. Since she was there, she should have just jumped into the conversation.
She did. She was over here amening.
That's important too. We always need a hallelujah choir. The hallelujah choir, we need that. But everybody who's come into the stream is basically a streamer, and is that support alone. Whenever on a Friday night when you could be getting ready to go out, the fact that you guys came on and that people came in the stream,
there's a party going on outside this door.
Oh, okay. So I know you're going out there after we wrap this.
Right.
Oh, Zakia Ringgold, that's another person, the soap lady herself. Thank you so much for being here. I am so appreciative. So before we wrap it up, Dryer Buzz, if you could give your social media handles, what you're working on now, so that people can follow you.
Okay. All right. One of the things, like I said, I'm trying to move into the space of super blogger, retire, in whatever that looks like. I am right now live streaming, blogging about the rideshare community and where it's going to go over the next 5 years. Ride sharing has only touched about a 20%, so it still has about an 80% growth. So watching that very closely as it relates to wealth. If you want to follow that conversation and see, no, drivers are not getting rich, but it is a road to wealth, and we talk about that at dryerbuzz.com. Hashtag DryerBuzz on all platforms. My name is DryerBuzz across the board. Started 20 years ago, helping to facilitate great debates that we have in the salons and in the barbershops. That's why it's called Dryer Buzz. I also host a monthly breakfast. If you're in Atlanta, come into Atlanta on first Wednesdays. We meet at a number of restaurants, and we have entrepreneurs, and we have breakfast. We serve a wonderful menu of mentors, and we will be March 1st. March 1st is our breakfast, is Hidden Figures of Atlanta. So, and you can watch that live stream. First Saturdays, I host a free Learn to Blog workshop in one of the largest centers for entrepreneurship in this city, historic entrepreneurship, and there as well. So my editorial schedule right now is really talking about this wealth conversation. We talk about leveraging these platforms. There's enough of us out here, but are we building wealth? Meaning not buying power, not consumer power, but how long really are we holding on to our money? And that's a very interesting conversation, and looking at it from some very interesting perspectives of how, with this hashtag wealth robbery, how is it that we are being robbed as women, as different cultural groups, that we can't mass wealth. I mean, there's every report out there says at the end of the year we have $0, and how is that happening continuously? So we want to break that cycle, and I think that's what I want to do for my work.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gail. Share your social media handles and what you're working on.
Okay, so my social media handle on Twitter is Small Biz Show TV. That's on Twitter. And on Facebook is Small Business Network TV. That's my Facebook page. I would love for you to go to Small Business Network TV on Facebook and like my page, because, as I mentioned, I am going to be doing a workshop talking about how to monetize, how to be a guest. I've got a ton of people, like us, who are looking to interview guests, but they need people, and they want to make sure to have the right kind of person. So if you're uncomfortable being in front of the camera, if you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know how to get onto a show, we're going to be sharing that information. And so, but you can only get to me if you go to Facebook, put in Small Business Network TV, and like my page, because I will be sharing content there. I am looking for people to come on to my show, but because I do, as I mentioned, I have two other. I have a show, the GTB show, and I have the Diva Talk show, which I haven't talked about. That's is developing into a whole nother thing. But I'm looking for people to be on my show. I'm doing a series right now called The Entrepreneur Journey. Again, that's where I talk about how did successful people get from zero to hero. And so, but I only want the right kind of people. I figure the best way for me to get the right kind of people is to help to develop and train them myself. So that way I know who they are and what they're doing, and that they've been trained the right way.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm working on. That's how you get a hold of me. And let's play. I love this. This is a great conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And not that anybody gives a damn, but I'm going to introduce myself again. My name is Dr. Chitachi Egwu. I'm a media professor, a filmmaker, a journalist, and a media content creator, and the host of Mediascope right here on Periscope, Busker, and Facebook Live every Wednesday. I'm there just about every week, and I would love for you to join me because we have a bunch of fun. There's fun and foolishness that ensues. And again, I wanted to let you know that. And facts. Fun, foolishness, and facts. Yes. And again, I wanted to let you know that I am actually going to be speaking with a bunch of other people at CreatorCon, which is happening April 29th and 30th in Jersey City, New Jersey, right across the bridge from New York City. So you can stay in New York and come back and forth if you like. And it's open to the public.
Is it only for is it one day?
It's 2 days. It's 2 days. Okay. It's over there. Actually, I think it's 3. It's 3, yeah. So it's 3 days. Yes, New Jersey, exactly. History needs you, says Matthew. Yes, exactly. So it's going to be in Jersey, and I will be there, and I will be speaking on a panel about women and live streaming, which is why I kind of wanted to start the conversation here with what we're doing. So this is like an outset of what we're going to be talking about on the 29th or 30th, whichever day we're scheduled to go. But I want to again acknowledge Curtis Brooks, who was the magic behind this. He was my producer for this today, which means I didn't have to press buttons or do much of anything. So thank you, Curtis.
Thanks for supporting women.
Exactly. Thanks for supporting women. Thank you so much to everybody who watched on Periscope and who will watch this on the replay. You rock. And you can find me on all platforms at Tatiana, just like my handle is here on Periscope. So with that, I'm going to sign off the way I do with Mediascope. I love you for watching. I bid you adieu, and we're all going to exit stage left. Peace and love, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Tachi.
Oh my God, Tachi, thank you so much.